Cute name. Yeah, those freaks would carve an N on their victims' foreheads. Some cult shit right there if you ask me.
Dante settled everything with them though?
Yeah, nasty feud, but a compromise was reached.
Called the
Now
Never
everybody's
Dies.
getting
You guys
along.
think that is-
Hasn't been a gang war between us in weeks.
Fuck, I missed something, but
Was reached. Now everybody's getting along. Hasn't been a gang war between us in weeks.
interesting.
That's good to hear.
He just his head? Welcome, take your seat. I don't want to talk too much, but this is potentially the last chapter reaction. I can't find chapter 7, so feel free to link it down in the comment description below, or just put the title in there and then just how to find it, the channel, whatnot. And yeah, leave a like on your way in, take a seat, enjoy the show, and let's begin chapter 6 of Sooner or Later. I want to personally say, everyone, thank you for all the love on the series, bro. We're at chapter 6. I looked for chapter 7, I couldn't find it, so feel free to comment down below whose channel it's on, you know what I'm saying, you know, title, whatever, so I can find it. And let's get into it, bro. I've just been on the series. This is my 3rd reaction in a row, so I can't, you know, properly thank you guys for what you've done on the previous videos. I can just only hope you guys have been enjoying them as much as I have. And yeah, I mean, I'm doing it this way so we can drop the videos faster, plus I'm just immersed. I just gotta watch the next one before editing, you know what I'm saying, just keep going into it. So let's get into it. Go ahead and leave a like. Quality's max.
Here, bucko.
Only
I'll
30
give you a
minutes.
lift.
Ooh, I need some water.
So that's how he got in
Water attained. Right.
front of me last night when I was trying to leave.
Huh?
So that's how he got in front of me last night when I was trying to leave.
Ah. Wait, you telling them about SANS?
Tell me about the restaurants in this area, tiny human.
I need to clean my glasses. Gosh dang it, I'm sorry. Alright.
Nick was in the back alleyway behind Dondee's favorite bar when the old man wasn't conducting business. The freak with the golden tooth was leaning against the wall, lighting one of his f***ed up cigars that made red smoke. Nick knew the monster weapons would help Dondee
Like how you're
extend
seeing,
his
like,
control to other
Nick's
cities,
perspective too now. That's
but he
pretty
couldn't
dope.
help but feel disgusted by the
switching.
fact they'd be shaking hands with these creatures. But Dondee said to treat him with respect, at least to their faces. Dondee also said they'd deal with the monsters later when the time was right. Nick smiled, dreaming of all the terrible things he would do to this freak for even daring to touch him. So, I hear that Dondee just got done dealing with some gang that was giving him a lot of trouble.
But if this actually is the last chapter and they all just get clapped and it's like game over. Oh my.
What were they called? The Never Dies? Cute name.
Yeah, those freaks would carve an N on their victims' foreheads. Some cult shit right there if you ask me.
Dondee settled everything with them though?
Yeah, nasty feud, but a compromise was reached.
Called the
Now
Never
everybody's
Dies.
getting
You guys
along.
think that is-
Hasn't been a gang war between us in weeks.
Fuck, I missed something, but
Was reached. Now everybody's getting along. Hasn't been a gang war between us in weeks.
interesting.
That's good to hear.
He just his head? What's the plan here?
That's what you get for messing with another man's woman, you prick.
I
Sans
told
took
you don't give
great
this man
pains to
anything
ensure that
sharp,
no
bro. I see the
blood
knife,
got
but
on his suit.
anything sharp, bro.
He
He's a
didn't want to upset his
yandere,
little lady when he got back. The first phase of Wingding's plans was working perfectly. Now all they had to do was play
Oh, they were the Never Dies. I had a feeling. I was like, that sounds kind of like either a monster's name or is there like a Frisk Reset type person here?
the waiting game for a little while until they could move on to the next step. Until then, Sans knew exactly how he was going to spend his time.
Wow.
He couldn't keep his little lady waiting.
Oh my gosh, and then the ad comes through. Guys, what the freak, bro? Okay, so under their nose this whole time, they was looking for the Never Dies, and that was Sans, or Gaster's gang the whole time. Not only that, but they did a deal with them when they didn't even notice it. And don't worry, Don D's working on him, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, is he? Because I'm right next to you, buddy. That's crazy, he's working on it. Notice how Sans asked him a question as well. to see if they have any knowledge of it at all, and so he can get some word of it. And then he says, "Don't worry, Dundee's working on it." So, "Oh, you got nothing? All right, no worries. You're dead. You're done." I mean, there's gonna be some questions for Dundee with what the freak just happened.
Do you humans even sell spaghetti at all?
Huh.
From the short time she spent talking to the tall skeleton who called himself Papyrus,
There's a theory somewhere in here that they're all just pretending to be bad. I don't know how hard that holds though, because SANS did not have to do what it did to Frisk. So
Frisk learned a few things about him, such as Papyrus was energetic, incredibly energetic. He no sooner sat down in Nick's old chair for a grand total of 2 minutes before he was standing up again, pacing back and forth as they talked about her area's restaurants. Which
SANS doing that to Frisk though isn't too far-fetched, because I don't think there's a Toriel here to keep him in check.
made sense to Frisk. At first, when Nick first arrived as the appointed landlord to Frisk's area, he had asked a lot of questions about the businesses as well. The only difference between Nick and Papyrus was that unlike Nick, who was more interested in how successful each business was and how much money they made, Papyrus seemed to be way more interested in the actual food that was sold at each eatery. He asked what she thought of the food. He asked what the other humans thought of the food. He asked if Frisk ever classified the food as greasy, and then asked her to name off every food item each restaurant had to offer. Money was an issue that never came up, not one time, and it puzzled Frisk, but she wasn't stupid enough to voice her confusion. And with each question he asked, he never stopped moving. It was exhausting and nerve-wracking, to say the least, as Frisk caustically
That's
watched
how I be
him
walking around the house, bro.
continuously
And
move
my
without
mom
pausing.
must be
And with his
"Can you stop walking around in circles? You're making me anxious."
loud voice escalating every so often, and his dominating posture that never once relaxed.
I don't know, my legs just be moving
There were a
even
few
out.
times Frisk had braced herself just in case of a random spurt of violence from him. But no matter how loud the skeleton's loud movements were, or how powerful his voice sounded, he never once made a motion towards her, which was relieving. Relieving and shocking. But Frisk wasn't one to complain. But all the
course
same,
not.
she kept her body tensed and her legs ready to move out of the way if need be. But confusion and despair weren't the only emotions the tall skeleton seemed to pull out of Frisk. It came very clear to her that Papyrus, much like SANS, was an arrogant and entitled jackass. Every answer she gave the skeleton seemed to annoy and amuse him, and he responded with some of the most arrogant and pompous replies Frisk had ever seen. He scoffed at her when she told him that the little diner owned by Mr. Vale made some of the best pancakes she'd ever tasted. He rolled the single red light in his socket when she said the burger stand had some tasty fries and delicious lemonade. And he openly laughed when she sweetly suggested, in a non-threatening way, that he wouldn't be disappointed if he gave both places a try. Frisk was lucky he was pacing around, barely looking at her during their conversation, because he would have seen a look of complete dislike on her face.
Dude,
She
just
didn't
asking her
know
about
what
food
deal
goes
these
on, bro.
monsters made with Dundee for them to gain a small area of human
Everyone
territory.
back home is wondering like, "Am I gonna die today, bruh?" Meanwhile, like for hours and hours, Frisk is just getting interrogated about what's the best place to eat here.
But as far as she was concerned, the prick should have chosen a different area of people to lord his power and terror over if he didn't like the looks of this place.
Screw you, buddy. You can get the hell back to your own city if you think you're too good for my home.
Oh goodness.
But then all that movement ceased from him when he asked
Did he
that
say that?
spaghetti question.
Oh, never mind.
And Frisk learned another
She
thing
said
about
it was
this
a man.
man.
She thought it.
Apparently, spaghetti was an important subject to him. At least important enough for him to stop moving and stare at her with such an intense look. Frisk could have sworn they had been discussing a life-or-death situation, as opposed to a pasta dish.
And it might be. I don't know. I don't know
Well,
what these people about
The
either.
burger stand is more of an on-the-go sort of thing.
Sands and Paris a little more
You mean
aggro.
greasy fast food? Ugh.
How the hell can you taste anything? You don't even have a tongue or a stomach.
She thought, but wisely decided to nod her head, agreeing with him. Fighting the urge to defend the one-handed Mr. Sloane who owned the burger establishment. As much as she liked the old man, she wasn't going to do him or herself any favors by standing up for him. She
Yeah.
liked to keep her face attached to her head, and she was fairly positive that sparking an argument with this overly enthusiastic skeleton would result in a painful consequence.
Yeah. Frisk playing her cards right.
She was already slammed to a wall when she told Sans she didn't find him attractive, so she could only imagine what this more active skeleton would do to her. Plus, when it came to criminals like Papyrus,
It's not funny she got
Sans,
beat up,
and
by the way. I'm just saying, it's
themselves
just
as
so
being
dumb that you
superior,
got mad over that.
it was best not to bring attention to yourself
So
or the
stupid.
people you love. Being invisible was the best defense you got against mobsters after all. You mouth off,
They're
and
little,
you throw your shield away.
what do they say? Their little Mickey Mouse ego.
Unfortunately, she may have already done that with Sans.
Little fragile ego.
If she had known
there,
that
buddy.
skeleton was going to be her landlord from now on, she might have responded to him a bit differently.
Crazy
last
how
night.
they supposed to be tougher, but
Been
their
a little
egos
sweeter
just
with
gets
her
fragile.
rejections. Told him she already had a lover. Lied to him. I saw you.
We don't know how to be tough and strong.
And so I learned
not
all
have
that I
a
could about you.
Crazy ego about it.
Followed you around for a bit. His words echoed in her mind, and she
Or a
shook them
healthy
off
ego,
as
I
violently
guess.
as she could.
Where you don't have to go off on
Did he even
someone
tell
because
her
they
the
said something
truth?
bad about you.
Is that why he ended up taking control of her area? Because he wanted her? Or was it just a coincidence? Frisk quickly chose the latter and the more logical of the two explanations to go with.
Of course it was just a coincidence.
It's a little bit of
Why
all.
on earth would a big-time criminal, at least Frisk assumed Sans was a big name in his own city, why else would Dundee even be seen with him if he weren't a big deal? Choose where to place his business based on where a girl lived. Especially when that big-name criminal
Multiple
was never
factors,
even
but
spoken
Sans
of a
definitely leaded
girl.
it to be that specific spot.
And the only time he did, she showed
With his,
nothing but disgust and
iron
rejection.
choice.
And more importantly, even though Frisk had enough confidence to call herself cute, there were so many more women in her city that were much more beautiful than her, and would willingly be with Sans, monster or not. It wouldn't make sense.
Yep, nothing but a coincidence. The guy would have to be insane if this were anything but a coincidence.
But all
Well,
the
Sans
same,
now, he led
Sans
it to
came
this,
back.
but
She
Gaster
knew
had,
it
you know,
would be in
other
her best
plans, I'm
interest
sure.
to try and make peace
Not
with him.
specifically for first.
Maybe she could lie her way out of her behavior last night. Maybe tell him she got offended because she was already engaged to be married. Then she could apologize and go
This
from
isn't
there.
the time to lie again.
But right now, she had another cretin to kiss up to.
If you're gonna say
Yeah,
something,
the burger stand
you
can
better
sell
make
greasy
sure it's more
food.
truth than lies.
But to be fair, they're a cheap and easy meal for a family. If you don't have enough money.
if you're doing any type of lying.
Spaghetti is more of an expensive sit down and eat food.
Was he uncomfortable with?
This area isn't very.
Was the person that they said owned the restaurant, whatever, with the one hand flipping the burgers, the burger shop? They also said somewhere in this story that someone got their hand taken from them. I'm guessing that was the person. If that is, then like I said, that's some smart writing. Very good writing in this.
There is no cat.
Classy.
Oh, I just skipped that. Freak. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. I watched two of them. I saw Mr. Beast come up with Grammarly, and I just immediately was just like, get off the screen. Mr. Beast just has that commercial vibe to his voice, and I just think skip ad. I'm sorry.
Is it?
He didn't
Classy
sound
is
so
what he
confident
says.
or condescending anymore, though she could tell he was
I usually
trying
watch
to
the ads, by the
project
way,
that
of
in his
people I
voice.
watch because, you know,
And the
I'll
smug
get more
smile
revenue,
on his
so
face didn't seem too
I'm already reacting
genuine.
to stuff, so
At least not as smug
I'm
as it
supporting
was
them as much
before.
as I can.
In fact, if Frisk didn't know any better,
Especially
she
when I enjoy
could
their
have
stuff, I do
sworn
it anyways,
Papyrus
right?
was
Common
a
courtesy.
little rattled
Courtesy.
about something she said. It was hard to tell with a skeletal face, and she could be very wrong with her theory. But maybe the idea of being around poverty didn't sit well with him. And if he really was mildly upset about the idea of the people in her area being poor, then maybe this might be the perfect opportunity to soften him up so he wouldn't be too harsh. Or too unreasonable when it came to deciding what would be the appropriate protection fee to charge Frisk and her neighbors. The people in her apartments could barely afford to pay the current fee as it was. If it went any higher, she had to be careful. There was a good chance she might be reading his sudden and unexpected expression wrong. But it was an opportunity she couldn't pass up.
I feel like Gas
It was
would
an
make that
opportunity her neighbors
decision for
couldn't
how much
afford for her to
payment he
pass up.
gets. And it
Well,
would have
I
been
wouldn't
already been
exactly call this
decided.
area unclassy, exactly. It That is a pretty
I
poor
don't know why it
neighborhood
mattered
after
to
all.
Papyrus.
The smug
Maybe
look
Papyrus
seemed
gonna deliver the
completely
news
fake
to
on his
Gaster
face,
of how the
and the
place is,
tapping
then he'll
on the
make his
desk seemed to
decision.
increase in speed, much like his pacing when he got annoyed.
Okay, girl, keep going. Slow and steady will hopefully win this race. That's one of the main reasons why our restaurants can't sell spaghetti. You see, it's becoming a pretty popular food lately, so the price of buying it has skyrocketed. Only the richer areas with nicer restaurants can sell it.
Frisk wasn't lying. It really was too expensive for her restaurant.
Well, like I
buyers to
said,
invest
if
their
you're gonna
money
tell
in.
something,
would
make
be a
it be
stupid
more truth
investment on
than
their part,
anything
too.
of a lie.
Why spend money on a menu item nobody can buy when you can make cheap food that everybody will be able to afford? Not that not eating pasta bothered Frisk. Burgers and fries, a nice tall soda, and a big piece of pie were all part of a balanced meal as far as she was concerned. She never did grow to
Butterscotch
like
pie.
the taste of pasta, even when it had been affordable.
That's weird. In the monster cities, it's the cheapest thing you can buy.
Cheapest? This guy's wearing a suit that looks like it costs more than a year's worth of rent for me. Why would he be interested in cheap
And when
food?
my bro makes spaghetti, it tastes like nothing you've ever put in your mouth before.
Why does SANS voice change? Why is it like deeper? That doesn't sound right, does it? Am I tripping? No one intended, because she about to trip right now. What? I ain't gonna make that the last video in the playlist and end it like that. Stop, oh my god. What playlist was I looking at so I can show you guys? This one right here, made by him himself, and it's the last one there. I skipped the movie, of course, but let me see if it ends where the chapter 6 ends. Oh, this ends. Season 1 ends on
These pods take a
Season 1 ends when SANS killed whoever. Oh snap!
Hey guys, it's Faye
What does he have to say here?
here, the creator of this video series, and I just wanted to say a big thank you for sitting through the first movie compilation of the series' first major arc. These parts
this is
take
like
a
3
long
years
time
later,
to draw,
I
and
think.
so I would ask for your respect to the artist for taking her time to make the best comic that she possibly can. We do a lot of other series on this channel that I'm personally very proud of, and so if you feel a craving and you'd like to see something of the same caliber as this series, I'd recommend subscribing and seeing what we have to offer.
You know what? You deserve a subscription. That was pretty fire. Appreciate you guys for watching, leaving likes, subscribing, everyone that showed love on it, whatever way you chose to. Even just watching the video, just for doing that is amazing. So thank you guys. I'll see you in the next one, the next series, which will be Handplayed Season 2. We're going back to that, boy. So yeah, some of y'all might be excited for that. You know what I'm saying? Back to that crazy boy guys. You know what I'm saying? A different type of crazy in this one. And SANS and Papyrus, you know, they're still cool, but they are being tortured. So we're going back there very soon. Probably in 2 weeks. We'll have an intermission time so I can get some recommendation comic dubs in there. Hopefully. Or I might just go right back to Handplates. I don't know yet. We'll see how I'm feeling. Most of these videos are depending on how I'm feeling because the video's not gonna, you know, do good or be entertaining if I'm not in a good mood doing it. So we'll see how I feel. I'll see you guys there. Approximate time, 2 weeks, but it could be sooner. So yeah, leave a like I said, subscribe, notify bell, don't forget to let you know what drops. Swipe left or right, let you know what came out on the channel. See you in the next one. Keep it divine, live have a good day or night, and I'll see you guys sooner or later. Peace. Dang, that was loud.
Closer, and he's caught sight of me. He's wary and suspicious, though still silent. Obviously, he sees me as a potential